Three, two, one, action. I think that's what they say. Alright guys, welcome to a video that's, I don't know what the fuck clickbait is. This might be clickbait, whatever you want to call it. Whether it's clickbait or not, I'm going to tell you about a new Mandela Effect. Feels weird saying that. New quantum effect. New change in consciousness. A new change in the reality that you see in front of you. And it's not just a new change. It's probably the biggest change you'll ever see. I don't understand why more changes would need to be done. It just doesn't make sense. All of these Mandela effects, quantum effects, it's not the fact that they're happening. You guys give a shit about that they're happening. You want to just quantify how many of them are there. Mirror, mirror on the wall. It's about life no longer being like a box of chocolates. That's what it's about. I'm going to say a lot in this video. That's why it's a couple hours long. I would have made this video a while ago, but to be completely honest with you, I didn't think I'd make it. Well, before now, I thought I'd be dead within a few days after making this video, and that mattered to me. I gave a shit. Take all the aggregate of everything that I've taken into my mind. If I was to put that out somehow, in whatever way, shape, or form, if I was to do such a thing, I felt that I'd be dead within a day or two, within whatever video I made. I apologize. I'm from New York, so if you can't understand, put the captions on if they can keep track of what the fuck I'm saying. I thought I'd be dead within a few days. But the only thing that's changed between then until now, well, two things. Well, lots of shit, but the two things I'll mention. The first is I no longer give a shit whether I find myself, whatever the fuck, if you want to kill me, throw me in a cell. My life is whatever the fuck it is now, but I can't change who I am. I'm not going to pretend that I'm somebody else. And if that kills me, then shit. Well, that's life. But I'd rather live that path than the path I'm living now. The path I'm living now isn't bad. I guess I'll quickly say how I got here. For the last 4 years, I've been sitting in an apartment in Brooklyn by myself, just introspecting on life, on everything that I've done, on all the fuck-ups. I fucked up a lot, like all of us have. We keep fucking up every day, and it's just we try to make up for our fuck-ups, and we make more fuck-ups, and just fuck-ups, and fuck-ups, and more fuck-ups. And that's okay until a point. And we all get to a point where we are shown that there's another way out to our fuck-ups that we can take. But most of us just continue fucking up, and then some of us stop fucking up. We take this new path, this weird path where we just start doing shit that we think is the right thing to do. And somehow it manages to parallel a life of not having money, which kind of sucks, but we kind of have to go down that path to understand that path. My path was I grew up not having money, being broke, and then at some point or another, I was a professional poker player for a little while. Well, I sold weed most of my life. And then I needed to do something else. I tried to find a career that was me, and I couldn't find anything else. Well, not anything else. There was other things. And nothing else that fit me more than playing poker. And that's what I did. I did that for 10, 15 years of my life. And I guess what is a professional poker player? To me, it's someone who obtains more than 50% of their income from the income they create from playing poker. Because when you play, you sit down. If you're playing cash games, tournaments, it's different things. It's a large aggregate of something. Only you know. Only the actual player knows. It's yours. It's something you're supposed to carry with you. And if the profit from what you are doing is paying for your lifestyle, or at least 50% of it is, then I don't know what else a professional is. How do you don't get a job being a poker player. I've been staked before, but that's different. That's something else. It's like I'm not working for Enron playing poker. Sorry for bringing Enron around. They're not around, so I can't get in trouble for saying their name. Okay, with that being said, I also have a glass of wine, and the only way I'd be making this video is if I had started getting drunk before it. Because a lot of the shit that I'm going to say is whatever. So, actually, hold on. We're 6 minutes and 50 whatever seconds into this video. I'm going to take a sip of this wine and tell you about whatever Mandela Effect my crazy schizo mind may have created. Give me a moment. I have a medieval times glass. It's, I don't know if you can see it. It doesn't really matter. It says medieval times on the side. Oh, no, it does. Well, you can see it later after I drink my wine. But for now, actually, I knew the Green Knight on SoCal. I pitched his girlfriend's parents on why he should sell office supplies and not be the Green Knight. But that's a story for another time. So, I'm going to do this uncut completely, because anytime you cut off, somebody's thinking about what they want to say and what they want to do. I have absolutely no expectations for what I'm saying. I expect to be dead. Like I said, right now I've spoken about absolutely nothing. Right now I'm just being me. I have no friends left. Well, I've been choosing my friends, and unfortunately nobody vibrates who I vibrate. It kind of sucks. I'll tell you about that later, but not before I tell you about some shit you actually give a shit about. With that said, I actually, if that's alright with you guys, alright, after sitting here, after being with myself for as long as I've been with myself, your mind starts to go. And your mind can go into a million different paths for all of us. I can't tell you how your mind thinks, only you can. My mind went to where it went to, obviously. And that was a lot of places. But while my mind went there, I met a lot of other consciousness. I'll drink to that. Whenever I fuck up a word, I'll drink to it. Consciousnesses along the way. And before I was, I guess, I don't know what awake is, but before I guess I was awake, quote unquote, I understood them to just be my mind. And it kind of made sense. It was my mind. I'm in my fucking mind. Who the fuck else would be in my mind that I would be talking to? Nothing else really makes sense. Whatever I'm talking to is kind of just going with my mind anyway. So how can I think that it's something other than what it is? Sorry, with that said, I'm going to spark a rolled cigarette. Actually, I have regular cigarettes, but I had wine. Well, the wine that you're seeing me drink, and I spilled it on the cigarette, so I figured I'd roll some instead. See, I like the pens that they have now, but my problem with them is that they're so focused on the THC content inside of the liquid that they put in there that they forget about all of the other cannabinoids, CBD. Oh, hold on one sec. I think I lost light. I lose light. Light, come back. Oh, that's my light from my Raspberry Pi TV. I can't eat the Raspberry Pi. It's a little TV with a Raspberry Pi thing connected to it. I'm not gonna explain how Pi creates internet, but it does. Give me a sec. So we're now 10 minutes and 51 seconds into my drunk rant. This should be like 1, 2, 3, 8, 4 hours long. This is just my mind that normally goes. I'm just gonna try to fit everything in within the next couple hours. But alright, so we're at 11 minutes and 11 seconds now, so I think it's a good time for me to tell you. That actually wasn't planned, that's called synchronicity, if you understand what that means. I'm not going to get into that. Many other people already did. Hey. Alright, those are my feet. You guys, I have a little mic thing in my ear just because I'm going to whisper to you later, just because I'll explain that later. Alright, so see, the thing is, later, if I'm either going to die from this, or this is going to create something, or I doubt it's going to do nothing. Doing nothing kind of doesn't really make sense after this videos, man. If this does nothing, then I really pity the world. I don't know how else to say it. With that said, I'm going to move forward back. So behind me isn't some weird shit you're supposed to follow just behind me. I understand what creation is. When you put I am before anything that you want to do, that creates energy within whatever you want to do, and that helps create it. There's a whole bunch of shit that I was working on creating before. I created most of the things that I wanted to, and the things that I haven't, they really were not things I wanted. So, and up there, ooh, wait, I actually got my finger right. It says I am. I'll explain that later, but that's fairly important. But maybe I'll get to that, maybe I won't. There's other shit that's more important. With that said, I told you that I created a Mandela Effect, or whatever the fuck I said. Alright. How do I word this without you thinking I'm crazy? I don't think there's any way to do this, but so today is February 28th, 2019. It is 8:35 at night, p.m. Eastern Time. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and this thought came to me 3 days ago, so that was the 25th. So on the 25th this occurred, or before that, or probably not after that. So I can't tell you most of my journey, how I got to the understanding of what I wanted to do, because the problem is, if I told you the journey, I think that I could actually get sued, because you would do what I did, and something negative would occur to you, or most of you. Some of you would be completely okay. Some of you could actually do this. It's something that your parents told you not to do your whole life growing up. Similar to, like, do not touch the stove when it's hot. But some of you touch the stove anyway. I was one of those people. That's how you get to where I got to. And if you're one of those people that simply listened after being told don't touch the stove, then ask yourself where it's gotten you. Go touch the stove and find out what that means. And with that said, I did not touch a stove and figure this shit out. I don't touch stoves anymore. I figured that shit out when I was about 7 years old. Okay. One sec. Cigarettes go out. So I told you about a Mandela Effect. It's now exactly 15 minutes, and this is where it begins. pick up a Bible. Your Bible. If you live in your house, you should have a Bible. I don't have a religion. I don't believe anything. I just have understandings. And there's a shitload of understandings out there. And if you have beliefs, alright. I'll talk about this later. It's easier. You give a shit about Mandela Effects and whatever the fuck not. I don't want to call this a Mandela Effect because Nelson Mandela had absolutely nothing to do with this effect. I can promise you, in just about every reality that exists, Mr. Mandela is officially deceased. He's somewhere else. He's doing his own thing elsewhere. So I would like to say this is more of a quantum shift. A quantum shift to a different understanding. And with that said, I'll also say that this is probably the most important, well, to me, the biggest Mandela effect, quantum effect that's ever been. It's one thing to understand that your life is no longer a box of chocolates, and it's another thing to pick up a Bible in front of you, the Bible that you've read your entire fucking life. And I'm not any religion. I just understand there's a source. I have been created by a source, and I carry the light of source. And I allow source to speak through me. And whenever I fuck up saying anything that source says, it lets me know within the next 5 to 10 seconds. So if I say something, and I say, wait, fuck, I'm not supposed to say that. Please bear with me. Because the way my life has been lived is to be able to speak as quick as I speak and allow it to have meaning. If it has meaning, that's up to you. Most other gurus that you see, well, some of them, a lot of them are very different. You see them, it's dictation. You see them say one sentence, 2 sentences, and then they pause and they go in. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're taking dictation from hopefully a light source. If it's simple to understand whether this is a good energy or a bad energy. That's up to you. Do you resonate with this frequency or do you not? It's your choice. That's what life is about. It's choosing. Forgot what I was talking about. But I think I'll go back to it later. I think I forgot what I was talking about because you guys give a shit about the Mandela effect and whatever the fuck not. It's quantum effect. This is the change in your consciousness, and ask yourself, what's your favorite? What if you were to take the Bible in a whole, at least the New Testament, and say there's one verse that can encompass my entire understanding of everything I have given a shit about in the Bible. Because this verse says this, all these other things have meaning. Once again, my cigarette went out. Nothing else really matters, because I don't give a shit if Jesus had some orgy with Rebecca or whatever the fuck. None of that matters. Who cares? Who cares what all these little verses say if lambs lay with wolves or lions or... Because this verse supersedes all of them. I'm going to read that to you. Actually, well, before I read it from the Bible that I have in front of me, the Bible that I have in front of me is the one that I had growing up. I went to Catholic school. I'm not saying I conformed to the Catholic religion. I'm just saying that's a school that I went to before I got kicked out of it in high school. But whatever. But what's your favorite verse? Actually, I seen a channel on YouTube with the same name as this verse. My favorite verse was John 3:16. Yeah, that's what I just said. John 3:16. I'm not kidding. And I don't think you were able to notice this before I'm saying this to you, because you would simply notice it as, dude, where's my car? No, like, you would see it as somebody fucked with my Bible, and I'm mad. What's going on? I want to castrate them. Well, that's what I've seen. I've posted a couple of other things on Reddit before, and I've seen, but whatever. You already know. So, hold on. This is a really fucked up cigarette. I'll find another cigarette to light. Alright, so just growing up, I could probably recite maybe 5 or 6 verses to you. I think the second most important verse is the first verse in the Bible. It says, in the beginning. The most important part of that is the first word. It says in. If anybody has ever read the Bible, if you just read the first word, went there, and stayed there, you would have been a lot better off than you did doing whatever the fuck else you did. So, there you go with that. But the second most important would be John 3:16. To me, I'm going to actually say 2 different versions within what I'm about to say, just to give you 2 different. There's like a King James version, there's another version, but you'll figure it out. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, for whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, will not perish, or shall not perish, and will have everlasting life, or eternal life, depending, like I said, which version you're watching. I think that what's the most important part of it? Let me just try to break it down before I say what the difference is, unless you're reading along with your Bible and saying, dude, that's fucked up already. God was a word that was created a long time ago that once meant one thing, but now means something else. Now there's a lot of gods. There's George Clooney's a type of god. George Clooney's cool, but he's a god because everybody gives his energy to him. George Clooney's so cool, and he gets more energy from it. He takes that energy and transforms it somewhere else. That's what it is. Some gods can fly, but you just don't see them because they don't want you to see them. I don't know how else to say that. So there's a lot of gods out there, but there's a source. All these gods, before